Hello and welcome to Coffee Break Chats. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Majbritt Sandberg, who will be speaking at IBTM World Barcelona this November. And we're going to be having a chat here about her upcoming session, which is really exciting. So welcome, Majbritt.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Wonderful.
And to also this first IBTM physical, I think most of us all can't wait just to get together in a room with these wonderful event people.
Absolutely.
So
yes. Well, I think we all are too. It's funny sometimes, people coming are often excited for the event, but I think all of us organizing it this year are even more excited than normal. So that's very exciting. But yeah, so Majbritt will be talking on day 3 of IBTM World. She's going to be doing a session all about re-energizing future online events. Yeah. So I suppose we should start. I mean, I think everyone can say that they've been doing a lot of online events over the past year, 2 years. But how do you think we can potentially look at making them a little bit more exciting going forward? I think everyone's experienced a lot. How do we make them different?
Well, first of all, we have to realize that we can't copy paste anything. In the beginning, I think we looked at events as a way to inform people, and we put on long keynotes. We gave people the opportunity to chat during the session, but we missed that most essential thing, and that's the engagement from the audience. I think one of the things that I'm going to talk about is how to use different tools to engage the audience from the start. But also, I think we have to start looking at online events differently. Also, when we talk online, we have this hybrid element also, which I will be talking about in a minute. But I think the most essential part is also to engage your audience before. It could be with a podcast that you send out to them. It could be with a song. We have to use the senses. Online, we don't have that wonderful smell of coffee. We can't get that exciting chit chat when we have to network, and therefore we have to replace it with something else. So I think we still have to look at experimenting on the format, on the time, and especially how we engage with people.
Absolutely. And you're talking about engagement there. What are some of the ways that maybe you've seen people starting to do that, or what are some of the things that you think, oh, that would be a really good way for us to engage people better?
Well, what we see often in the beginning, and what I try to avoid, is that when people enter a platform, they're just waiting. So what I've done when I engage a keynote in my professional life, I always ask them to be online from the start. I'll just like you are doing, we'll do a coffee chat. We'll just chit chat. We'll have a little music running, and I'll start talking to the speaker, how they are, how they're doing, what are their biggest struggles, what is top of mind. Perhaps we'll share a story. So it's about making it personal. It's about recreating that atmosphere that we all have found out that we really love when we enter these physical meetings. So it's about making it informal, because most people, when they enter an online meeting, if the meeting is at 3 o'clock, they enter at 3 o'clock. So it's kind of, you start, and it's kind of like starting a car in the winter season. You have to jumpstart it. And I think, that chit chat is sometimes missing. Also, another point is also perhaps making the keynote part of the breakout rooms as well, making sure that they are present and they are entering a dialogue, and that is not a one-way presentation. So those are some of my key learnings, and of course we're still learning.
Oh, of course, yes, and I think we will be for a while. But I suppose with the return of the return of in-person events, do you think there's a way that we can, you were mentioning hybrid, do you think there's a way that we can make online events as interactive as in-person ones with that hybrid?
Well, as interactive might be pushing it, but what we can do is that we can look at the online element. First of all, I would like to say that I think that the way we create events will be different. I think that online has a huge potential when it comes to learning. I could take an example. Sometimes if people were to update their LinkedIn profile, before, when we had a speaker, he would speak about LinkedIn and how you can update it. That makes a lot of sense doing that online. When you have your own laptop, you can do it right away. Also, when we're talking about ideation and brainstorming, when we sit in a room, we have all these post-its, but we never execute on the ideas. And in that sense, online makes a lot of sense because you can use the digital tools to enhance the knowledge sharing. And at the end of the meeting, you have a transcript of it. You have actually something that you can use. And especially, you know, the breakout rooms that all platforms now have. Within the breakout rooms, there's actually tools that you can use where you live write your learnings or your insights, and everybody can see when you come back to the main session, you can just go out and see what everybody has written. So in that sense, collecting knowledge, ideation, and when you have something where you really need your own personalized learning journey, that makes sense to do that online.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think exactly what you said there. In the future, we may not find we always do one or the other. It's choosing the right type of meeting for the activity that we're doing, which I think is a really interesting kind of concept that we're going to have to explore a lot more in the future. And I was wondering, and if you'll humour me here, but if you had to design, say, the perfect meeting, let's say at IBTM World, you know, we're getting people together to talk and network and catch up and share ideas. How would you create that with an online component?
With an online component, if I had that online component, what I would do is, like I mentioned before, I believe in the many senses. So I'm hoping that you at IBTM already made a playlist. How to set that atmosphere? What is your favorite tune? Send out a platform or send out a playlist that you can make on Spotify to energize the audience. I would perhaps send out a podcast from some of the speakers, for them saying that when you're on the train and you need to get energized, or if you're stressed and you just need a not a meditation, but perhaps small calming interaction, you can do that. So part of it is that making sure that when the audience arrive at that online session, that they have been prepared. So that mental preparation. Also, I think that right now we see a lot of online networking. We see a brain date. I don't know whether you tried brain date, where you actually interact in rooms with 3 or 4 people, and you just have meaningful conversations. So I think I would add that element too. But also, I think one of my favorites is that I participated in C2, which is a part of a culture and commercial event. And what they had is that they had these interviews where kind of like coffee chats or fireside chats, where people were actually entering a dialogue. So dialogue works really well online because then you get the storytelling. So I think it's about putting the stories first, and making sure that they interact with the platform.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And just if anyone's wondering, Barcelona from Freddie Mercury is absolutely on our playlist. So
so one of the things, I mean, I'm not going to start singing right now, Laura, but we have to realize that there are certain things that we can do to make us motivated. I'll actually prefer some learnings to be online. If there's a keynote speaker that I would like to listen to, I cook. I love cooking and baking, so I do that meanwhile, because I can divide all my attention just to listening. So I think it's also about making sure that we have that perfect bite when it comes to creating and captivating the audience. I have a learning model that I will share at Barcelona. It's called AGES, is how to get the people's attention, how to make sure to generate a connection, how to create emotions, and finally, how to space it, how to make sure that we don't overwhelm the audience with a lot of content.
Absolutely, and that sounds really interesting. I will look forward to seeing that at the show. Well,
it's a simple model, and I think we have to look at simplicity. also and it's kind of like a step by step. It is a bite-sized learning for us event professionals, even though, I mean, we have gone through quite a lot these last 2 years.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, like you say, simple is always best. So starting off with that is always a good start. Well, thank you so much for joining me for this quick coffee break chat. It's been lovely talking to you and hearing more about your session. I'm really looking forward to seeing it at the show.
And thank you so much, Laura. And I hope what I will bring is that I'll bring a digital toolbox for everybody, because I believe in sharing your knowledge. So for everybody that comes to the show, there will be a online component so they can go and get all the tools that I use in my everyday life.
Brilliant. That sounds perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Majbritt, and thank you to everyone who watched today. If you'd like to find out more, if you'd like to attend Majbritt's session, you can register for IBTM World Barcelona. Registration is open until the 29th of November. So we've got a link on the next slide, on our little closing slide. So we hope to see you there.
Well, I look forward to it.